What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome into Eye on Market. This is going to be a pretty brief market watch because there's no way to talk about everything that happened in one video. So this week's market watch is actually going to be two separate market watches, one on Monday and one on Friday, with a cool deck profile video coming on Wednesday. So that's the schedule for the week in case anyone was curious. But TCGPlayer had their bonus buck sale this past weekend. It was a 15% back bonus buck sale on Friday from 4 to 10 p.m. Eastern, and it completely shattered the market. Like, I thought a lot of this, and I still think a lot of it is going to end up being artificial hype from the sale that's going to fall back out. It hasn't happened yet, though, and we'll wait and see whether or not that happens, and maybe if anything is significant that I don't cover today, on Friday, we will cover that then. But there's just so many cards that are insanely low in quantity that need reprints that aren't getting it in Gold Series, or Brothers of Legend might have them, but we don't know because there's no listing for the set. And it's just kind of nuts what's going on right now. So while it's awesome that cards like Access Code and Anaconda and other higher value cards are being reprinted, there are so many cards that are just scarce and expensive, and we're going to talk about them. So starting off with Necroworld Banshee, I just wanted to touch on this briefly. This card has been expensive for a while, but it looks like it's gone even more, where it was hovering around, say, 10 to 12 for a while. If you look at the past week and a half, I mean, you just see sales up the wazoo, selling as high as $20, but closer to about $17, $18, give or take now. This sold like crazy, and I really think we need either a rewave of the Zombie World deck or for these cards to be inserted in something. I'd prefer the latter, because then you could put this in like an alternate rarity, maybe make it an ultra or a secret or something, and preserve the value of the sealed product. But whatever it is they do, we got to do something, because Necroworld Banshee should not be that expensive, and it's just a super crazy card. So we're just kind of talking about the fact that this, as well as Zombie Horde in general, I mean, Balladrock and Glow Up Blue are both pricey, but they're not as prevalent as this card is due to its ability to get Zombie World directly from the deck. This is really just starting to stack up, and I'd like to see these cards become more accessible overall. Alright, moving on to some of the higher price cards. Baronet de Fleur, however you want to pronounce that, over $120 at this point, with a lot of sold listings. It is not a artificial price. This is selling like crazy. Just today, I'm seeing over 20, and if you look at the sale from the past couple of days, someone as high as $130. You know, this was around 90 to 100 on release, and then it just has gone up over time. The sale certainly didn't help. I'm hoping that it falls out a bit because Synchro Storm is still readily available. This isn't the most short print card. It's like 3 per case, which means 1 in every 4 boxes. It's not terrible per se, but we've seen Legendary Duelists in the past go through this whole thing with Magician Souls, with the Adusted Gold, although Adusted Gold is a little bit more scarce with like 1 at every 2 cases. So this is at least accessible. If you bought a case, you're going to get a couple on average, but this card is insanely good. It sees play in a lot of things now. Sword Soul utilizes it. Speedroid can play it. There's just a bunch of different decks, meta and casual / rogue, that can utilize this card. I really think that it's unfortunately going to stay high, which sucks, but hopefully people will, you know, after everyone that wants one gets one, maybe it'll start to trickle down as people look to unload their extras. We've got Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer at a $90, give or take. If you guys watch our live stream, I ended up pulling this over the weekend on Friday, which was awesome. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to be using this in a couple different decks I'm working on. Really good card. I'm okay with this price. I don't think it's that egregious. I mean, for a set to have a card that's between 85 and 90 is okay. Burst of Destiny as a whole has just seen a ton of value fluctuation. Phoenix Enforcer hit 100 over the weekend with the sale, but it's fallen back down, and it's pretty accessible. You should really only need 1, so it's not too bad. I mean, compared to some of the other price spikes we've seen, at least this one makes some sort of sense. Sword Soul of Mouye is up to $68 at the time I'm making this. I pulled 3 from my 3 boxes, and I sold them around 45. I didn't think it was going to go that high that fast, but at least I still recoup some value. I would say this one seems to be some hype that might fall back out, but I don't know. I know Sword Soul is really looking as one of the best meta options, and we might end up seeing that this just kind of sticks. $180-ish for a playset is kind of wild, and I'd like to think this is affected the sale, and this will settle maybe around 45 to 50, but we will have to wait and see what happens there. Moving on, Pot of Prosperity, 140. That's just wild, guys. This is a great card, but this is not a valid... I would not pay that. I would stay away from paying that price on this card. I mean, Blazing Vortex in general just is starved for value, but, like, regular Pot of Prosperity wasn't, like, any harder to pull for the most part than other stuff. It was, you know, couple 3 per case, I think, on average. Like, I don't know. I just have to think that that's kind of an insane price for this card. I mean, it's good and it certainly has its uses, especially in things like Fluunderies, but to think that you're going to be paying almost, let's say $450 for a playset when Extravagance does a similar job, I would advise against spending this much on this, but that's just my personal opinion. It obviously looks like it's not going to be reprinted to the Megatins, but we could be surprised and see it slotted into Ghost from the Past 2022, so we'll see what happens there. Forbidden Droplet just pisses me off. It's kind of insane. This is like $200. There's like no listings available. We know this is getting reprinted in a few weeks, and it's also going to be in the same rarity that it was, so it's not like it's going to be incredibly hard to get. I don't know what y'all are doing with this one. I find it kind of crazy to be paying that much for this. Just wait. Like, I would say just wait. Like, the ulti is $350 as a result of the sale, and this card is good, but like, you can make it work without spending that kind of money on this. And I really have to hope that if the secret rare in the new set is not shorted, this should drop a ton. Lyrilusk from Synchro Storm. Celestine Wagtail, pretty good card here, around 8 to 10 bucks. Lower listings versus a lot of the other ultras, which is neat. I would definitely recommend like picking these up if you're interested in the deck. It's a pretty affordable price, and we've seen with Legendary Duelist sets in the past that these do start to go up over time as the setting comes out of print. Lyrilusk Bird Call saw a huge spike over the weekend, hitting about 20 bucks with the sale. Definitely a really good card to have, and I think it's actually one of the best individual pieces of Lyrilusk support. You might be able to wait on this a little bit, though. I mean, 20 right now, but it'll probably fall back out to like 15, which is where it was on release day. I think this was a victim of the sale and just people going after it, but as more people crack stuff open, you'll probably see this go. Lord of the Heavenly Prison is a card I'm pretty big on. It doubled in price over the weekend due to the sale. It was around 15. It hit as high as 30, and has fallen back out now to 24, 25. It's really, really good. I think it has a ton of long-term potential and is absolutely worth picking up, but you might be able to wait a bit on this and see if it falls out to 18, 20, which I do think is definitely possible. But if you're interested in it, you might want to grab it now. I mean, I don't think it's going to drop too much, although it might happen as we get a little bit further away from Burst of Destiny and there's like rewaves and things come out and it's more accessible. So that's up to you. I'd say make your choice based on whether or not you anticipate needing it sooner rather than later. No meta deck is playing it in a high number right now, but I do think that could change at any point, and it is a really good card. Lightning Storm, $65, almost $70 for the King's Court Ultra. I mean, that's astronomical. Two sold for 80 and two sold today for 70. I don't know what we're doing on that, but this is kind of crazy. There's still King's Court at the Walmart near my house. Like, it's not like this card is impossible to find, but it just didn't get that reprint people thought it was going to, and it got swiped out of the Cyber Dragon deck, so it makes sense. I mean, it's just people are chasing after it like crazy, and that's just kind of how it goes. Secrets are around 80, pretty much almost at what they were at before. I don't know, the sale had to have impacted, and I've said that a few times, but one thing the sale didn't really impact, or at least was already on its way up, was Nibiru at $30, with people looking at this as a cross-out designator target, as well as just a really good counter to decks like, Tri-Brigade, Sword Soul, so on and so forth. This is a really powerful card, and you definitely want to have it. Unfortunately, the gold rare is not much cheaper at 25, and you can maybe still find some gold rare maximum golds, like, I don't know, depending on where you go. I've seen them at, like, certain locals near me. They have them for 30. I don't know. I think it might be getting to the point where that's going to be pretty much out of stock, but I guess you could get lucky if you find it in, like, a restock or something. But all three versions of Nibiru are up a lot, and I really hope we do see this get another reprint soon. I just don't know where they'd slot it. Evil Twins Trouble Sunny is 11 to 12. It was like 30 on pre-sale, dropped down to 25, and then it hit like 9 on release. It has gone up a bit, and it has sold pretty well, but I think it's just fighting that listing game. Some people have so many, and people are going after it, but this card does feel like a ton of long-term potential, so even if you're on the fence, maybe grabbing it for 10 if you don't want to play the deck right now, I do think it's not going to fall too much more than that. It is a really good card, and if Evil Twin or Life Twin does do anything relevant, you're going to see people chasing after this because it is an incredibly important part of that engine. Number F0, Utopic Draco Future, another really, really good card we've talked about for a while, has hit about... these are English, 25. This is Korean, so that one's not going to be relevant in this case. A couple for 25 from people with lower sale reps, but they're trying to get established. And then you got a lot of people got them around 30. So this is doubled in price, and that's not a surprise. We talked about this being a very high likelihood of that happening, and the collector rare has responded accordingly as well. Rise of the Mega Monarch is nuts right now at $70 because of Fluunderies. It is really good, though, and being able to disrupt during your opponent's turn, shuffle their cards back and such, is a really powerful tool. I hope they reprint this soon because both copies of it are insane, and it's just... I don't see where the resources are going to come from to just replenish it to that extent. Arch Nemesis Protos up to about $20. Been selling a ton lately. I couldn't tell you why, but it is a worm. I think it may have something to do with Sword Soul. Couldn't tell you. I haven't done enough research on Sword Soul just yet to know about the deck in its entirety. I'm working on some other deck profiles and stuff. I'm only one person. I'm trying to keep up with everything, but as you know, especially with the market, sometimes that can be a bit tricky, and it's not like we have a ton of deck results readily available from relevant tournaments. So I think that YCS will definitely be telling. High Speed Ray Cork Shooter is about $10. It's a really good card, actually. I obviously play it in Speed Rides, but it's got some combo potential, especially being able to, like, summon it and then revive all the materials and have extra stuff on the field. It's really neat, and it's a cool card. I don't know where it'll settle, but just given the fact that Legendary Duelist is going to be starved for value outside of its top-end stuff, it could end up staying around this price. ParallelExceed Prismatic Secret Rare from the tin is going up to about $5. I talked about this when it was like $2. I do think it's a really good long-term hold. It's the highest version of the card, and just in general, if you plan on playing it, having it in that highest rarity is going to be a really good way to go. Dimension Shifter continues to diminish in quantities down to 50 with about $6 a piece. I'm telling you, if you don't have this card yet, get it now. It just gets better and better with every format. It's so good against so many meta decks, and it literally has no reprint in sight, so I would say just spend the $15, get the playset if you intend on playing this at any point, because I could easily see this doubling, if not more, in price unless they reprint it. Borreload Savage Dragon's up to about $25-$30. I don't know if that's just synchro hype with Sword Soul and just it being a generally good card that's now, you know, a year-ish out of print. Both copies are pretty high. I'd say go for the Secret over the Ultra personally, but people might like that original set stamp thing going on, so who the heck knows. Vessel for the Dragon Cycle, there's no photos here. This is just going wild for the OTS. It's $20 a piece right now out of OTS 17. It looks like people are just chasing it down because it's the highest rarity version and Sword Soul does play it. It does come common as well as rare, so it's not impossibly hard to find, but if you want a foil variant, it looks like you're going to be paying a lot or going to your locals and hopefully pulling one out of an OTS pack. So that's going to do it for today's Market Watch. I went over the time I intended to anyway. We're going to do another Market Watch on Friday because there's so many other cards to cover, and I have no idea what's been covered elsewhere, so we're just going to cover it all here so it's at least out there. Let me know what you guys think about the market, the shakeup. This is just absolutely insane, unprecedented times in terms of value, and I'm hoping that with the sets continuing to release, we'll see this change, but I fear with in-person play returning, we may see it actually get worse before it gets better. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.